Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. I gotta tell you, I'm a little beat up. I went and spent 3 days down in Orange at the Born Free show. I'm telling you, I have never ever had more fun. It was absolutely the best. The vendors, to the people who were there, to the motorcycles. It was just one big wonderful show. I'd say it was the biggest and best show I've ever been to. It was awesome. I saw a lot of people that I've gotten comments from on the video channel. It was just great. I can't say enough nice things about it. I stayed with my friends from Lindell Brakes. Thank you, you are wonderful hosts. That was Paul and his lovely lady Jennifer and Chico, and I just had a ball down there. It was great. I ran into a lot of people I hadn't seen in years, and I met a lot of people that I hope I know for a lot of years to come. So that being said, let's get on to what's for today. What's for today is my old Shovelhead here is my road bike. And being my road bike, I try to get a lot of miles out of a motor. And I have gotten a lot of miles out of that motor. But one of the things with the Shovelhead is Shovelheads run hotter than panheads. Panheads run hotter than knuckleheads. So with a knucklehead, I've never had an oil cooler on it. And with a panhead, I've never had an oil cooler on it. But I always run an oil cooler on a Shovelhead. So when I did this build, I rummaged through my stuff and I had a brand new oil cooler put away. Some customer years ago had ordered it, and guess it wasn't what he wanted. I don't remember what the deal was, but I had a brand new oil cooler. So I made up some brackets and I mounted it on the frame here. If you can see it there, Mike, can you get it in there? Yeah. And so I mounted it on the down tube on the left side, because on the right side is where I'll be hooking up a sidecar mount. So I put it on the left side. Now, one of the things with an oil cooler is that although it cools the oil and helps your motor stay cooler, if you only run your bike in cold weather and do short little blasts, the problem is your oil doesn't come up to temperature. Now, if your oil doesn't come up to normal operating temperature, what happens is all the impurities from fuel and God knows what all that form in your system are normally cooked out by the heat. So if it never comes up to operating temperature, you've got all this junk in there. And I made that mistake. I ran one without a bypass valve on it. And just doing short little runs in the wintertime, what had happened is the oil turned into a miserable chemical disaster area. So I always run either a thermostat or a bypass valve. Both work well. I've used both. This particular one is a bypass valve. When it's in this direction here, the oil is flowing through it. If I turn the valve, then what happens is the oil comes up to the valve, bypasses and goes right back, and doesn't go through the cooler. That way the oil gets to come up to operating temperature. So what I did is I mounted the cooler here on the frame, and I ran my lines where I could. Basically, I wanted them out of the way, and I don't want them to get hurt down below. So that's what I did. I ran them right here, down through the frame behind the exhaust pipe, and I'll go over to the other side and show you where they end up. The oil cooler basically runs in series with the return line of the engine. So what we have is two lines coming off the cooler. I got my old pointer out so that I could actually show this stuff. And again, I ran them down the right side. And one line comes directly from the return side of the oil pump. Now you can see that in here. This is the feed. This is the return. So it's hooked up to the return line right over there and goes right back down to the cooler. And from the other side of the cooler, it comes back and goes up to the oil tank and returns. Again, it's the same as a stock setup. It's just that you've now put a cooler in series with it. Years ago when I did it, I checked with thermometers, and I'm not sure everyone believed me, and I'm not sure I was even that accurate. But I believe I actually lowered my operating temperature in the oil tank about 35 degrees. Now that may be an outrageous claim, I'm not really sure. All I know is when I'm running the bike hard and I'm running it on the freeway and I'm running down the road, I can feel the difference in the way the motorcycle runs. It's a much happier motor. I don't know how else to explain it. It just seems happier and runs better. So, that being said, that's my pitch on oil coolers. I really believe in them. If I didn't get to meet you at Born Free, I'm sorry. I got to meet a lot of people there and it was fun. So, for now, see you out on the road.